When Russia annexed Ukrainian Crimea in 2014, Putin populated it with 100,000 ethnic Russians, completed the Kerch Bridge in 2018, linking Russia to Crimea, and placed it all under the protection of the Black Sea Fleet and the Russian army. Until Putin attempted to take the rest of Ukraine in 2022, this annexation seemed secure. Today, Fortress Crimea is under siege and is about to fall. British expert Robin Horsfall said this. According to him, Ukraine has avoided costly tactical assaults by land or sea and concentrated its early efforts on depleting Russian air defenses. Ukrainian drone and missile technology systematically destroyed Russia's layered air defenses, removing radar, missile launchers, and command centers. At the same time, marine drones sank 1/3 of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, forced them to flee Sevastopol and withdraw to Novorossiysk on the Russian mainland. Many of the ships sunk were landing craft capable of providing stores and military ordnance by sea, the expert added. He told that this year large gaps began to appear in Crimean air defenses. Ukraine achieved air superiority and began to attack Crimea's energy infrastructure. First, a fuel and ammunition train on the Melitopol-Crimea railway, which approaches through Zaporizhia, was destroyed. The destroyed train could not be removed from the line because the approached were subject to drone reconnaissance and artillery attacks. Any recovery plant was hit as soon as it was moved. The line was one of 5 routes for Crimean resupply. The second was a road which again entered Crimea from the north. All it took to close this road was a HIMARS strike on a single bridge. The third route by sea was already closed. It was impossible for ships to dock in Sevastopol. Kerch Bridge was sufficiently damaged to only allow vehicles of less than 5 tons to cross. Finally, the Crimea/Russia ferry route was closed after the ferries were sunk. Air travel is impossible and cannot, even in the best circumstances, supply sufficient resources to supply an army, Robin Horsfall said. After reducing Russia's air defenses and logistical supply routes, Ukraine began to hit the energy infrastructure. Crimea has no refining facilities and must import all its energy requirements, most of which rely on gasoline or diesel. This month, the Vagners fuel depot and distribution center for the whole of Crimea was destroyed by drones. Vagners, situated in the center of the peninsula, is the main distribution hub for domestic, business and military requirements. Then Feodosia oil terminal, the only seaborne route of energy supply to Crimea, was struck and put out of action. The effects were immediate. Although Crimea had struggled through the past 3 years, the effects of Ukrainian strikes were directed only at military targets. The civilian population, which is predominantly imported ethnic Russians, were prepared to tolerate a situation they regarded as difficult. Now it is more than difficult and getting worse by the day. There is no fuel. Petrol and diesel have been rationed. The military have requisitioned all diesel, and the black market is taking over supply. Civilians are rationed to buying 30 litres of petrol a day if they wait in a 1-kilometre-long queue. Electricity blackouts have begun to occur daily. Many civilians, realizing winter is coming and they might not be able to heat their homes, are using their ration of fuel to get back to Russia. It is believed the Kerch Bridge has not been completely closed for 2 reasons. It continues to fix remaining Russian air defenses in situ to protect the bridge, and it provides a convenient escape route for the civilian and military should they choose to use it. Without fuel for a retreat, the Russian armed forces could be abandoned in Crimea. The next Ukrainian targets will be thermal power plants that supply domestic electricity, he added.
A fire and reported shooting at a camp hosting loyalists of Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić in central Belgrade on Wednesday injured one person, officials said, while Vučić described the incident as a terrorist attack. According to Associated Press, the fire erupted Wednesday morning at the tents outside the Serbian parliament building, which were set up in March as an apparent human shield against anti-government protests that have roiled Serbia for months and posed the most serious challenge to Vučić's rule. The camp, known colloquially as Kachiland, encompasses the white tent settlement in and around the park and the public square near the parliament building and the president's office. Police did not issue a formal statement. Footage showed fire breaking out and engulfing one of the tents after a series of popping sounds that resembled gunfire. Several police officers around the tent camp ducked, pulled out guns and told people to take cover. Vučić described it as an awful terrorist attack, telling a hastily called press conference that, "It is my political judgment, because a firearm was used with an aim to cause public danger and with an undoubtful political motive." Pro-government tabloids accused a government opponent of being behind the reported shooting. "It was a question of time before this would happen," said Vučić, who repeatedly has accused anti-government protesters of violence although their protests have largely been peaceful. The incident came ahead the November 1 rally marking the first anniversary of a train station canopy collapse that triggered huge youth-led protests against Vučić's authoritarian rule. The mass rally is planned in Novi Sad, where the November 1, 2024, canopy collapse killed 16 people and was blamed on graft-fueled negligence in construction projects.